Before we dive in, viewer discretion is advised. This content is for entertainment purposes.
The smiles looked polite, the questions felt harmless, and then one sentence flipped the entire mood on live television. What happens when a pop superstar walks onto a daytime talk show expecting light banter, and instead collides head-on with a question that cuts a little too close to the bone? What happens when smiles freeze, applause fades, and a room full of people realizes something has just gone very wrong? The lights of the View studio glow warmer than usual that morning, the kind of cozy brightness designed to put guests at ease. Katy Perry steps out from backstage in a sharp, candy-colored suit that screams confidence, her smile wide, practiced, and magnetic. The audience erupts instantly. Cheers, whistles, phones lifting for photos. Katy waves, soaking it in, her mind already in fun interview mode. New music, playful stories, maybe a joke or two. She's done this 1,000 times. Sunny Hostin watches her approach the table with a polite smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. She straightens her notes, glancing briefly at Whoopi, then at Joy. There's a subtle shift in the air, nothing obvious, just a tightening, like a string being pulled a little too far. Katy takes her seat, crossing her legs, leaning forward slightly in that open, friendly posture fans love. Whoopi welcomes her, the crowd applauds again, and for a moment everything feels exactly as it should. Katy laughs easily at the opening banter, tossing out a self-deprecating joke. The audience relaxes. So does Katy. But Sunny doesn't laugh right away. She tilts her head, fingers tapping lightly against the table, eyes fixed on Katy with an intensity that feels different from the usual daytime TV curiosity. When Sunny speaks, her voice is calm, measured, but there's an edge to it. Katy, she begins, you've always talked about empowerment. Women finding their voice. Using your platform responsibly. Katy nods, smiling. Absolutely. That's always been really important to me. Sunny pauses just long enough for the room to quiet. The audience senses it, the shift. The pause isn't accidental. It's strategic. So help me understand, Sunny continues, how you reconcile that message with some of the choices you've made recently. Choices critics say send a very different message to young women. A ripple moves through the crowd. Katy's smile flickers, just for a split second. She adjusts in her chair, brushing invisible lint from her sleeve. Inside, a warning bell goes off. This isn't a softball. I think, Katy says carefully, art is about expression. And sometimes expression makes people uncomfortable. Sunny doesn't look away. Does it, or does it confuse the message? Because a lot of parents watching feel conflicted. The word parents lands heavy. Katy laughs softly, but it's defensive now. I don't think it's my job to parent anyone's kids. I make music. I tell stories. A few claps from the audience. Scattered. Uneven. Sunny leans in. But when you brand yourself as a role model, doesn't that come with responsibility? That's when the temperature in the room changes. Katy's jaw tightens. Her eyes flash, not angry yet, but alert. She's being cornered, and she knows it. I never said I was perfect, Katy replies. I'm human. I evolve. Joy shifts in her seat, sensing the tension. Whoopi watches closely, saying nothing. Sunny presses on. Evolving is one thing. But do you think sometimes the shock value overshadows the empowerment you claim to stand for? A low murmur spreads through the audience. Katy inhales slowly. In her head, thoughts race. Is this really happening on daytime TV? She glances briefly toward Whoopi, hoping for a redirect. It doesn't come. Shock value. Katy repeats, her voice firmer now. That's your word, not mine. Sunny raises an eyebrow. Is it? The silence that follows is uncomfortable. Katy's hands clasp together tightly in her lap. She forces herself to stay calm, but her tone sharpens. I think it's interesting, Katy says, that women are always asked to justify their choices in ways men never are. Applause bursts out louder this time. Katy seizes the momentum. I've spent my entire career being dissected, she continues. What I wear, what I sing, how I dance, and somehow it's always framed as a moral issue. Sunny doesn't back down. Because your audience includes millions of young girls. And young boys, Katy shoots back. But no one worries about them. A gasp ripples through the studio. Sunny's lips press into a thin line. This isn't about gender, Sunny says. It's about influence. Katy leans forward now, eyes locked on Sunny. No, it is about gender. Because influence only seems to be a problem when it comes from a woman who refuses to stay in a box. The crowd reacts instantly, cheers mixed with uncomfortable murmurs. Joy glances at Whoopi, silently asking if she should jump in. Whoopi still waits. Sunny exhales sharply. So you're saying any criticism is misogyny? Katy shakes her head. I'm saying context matters. And sometimes criticism says more about the critic than the artist. That line lands like a slap. A stunned hush falls over the table. Sunny straightens, her voice cool. That feels dismissive. Katy doesn't blink. It feels honest. The audience is split now, half clapping, half silent. Camera lights glare down as if intensifying the moment. Social media producers backstage are already typing furiously. Whoopi finally clears her throat, about to step in, but the tension is already too thick. Something has cracked open, and there's no putting it back. Katy leans back slightly, crossing her arms, her expression composed but guarded. Sunny scribbles a note she doesn't need, eyes never leaving Katy. And everyone in that studio knows it. This is no longer just an interview. It's a confrontation, and it's only just beginning. The silence that lingers after Katy's last words feels heavier than the bright studio lights hanging overhead. The audience shifts in their seats, sensing they've crossed from friendly daytime television into something far more unpredictable. Katy keeps her arms folded, her posture polished but defensive, her signature smile replaced with a calm, almost guarded stillness. Sunny glances down at her notes, then back up, as if deciding whether to ease the tension or drive straight through it. Joy clears her throat, offering a cautious laugh meant to lighten the mood. Well, things got serious fast, she says, flashing a grin toward Katy. A few scattered chuckles ripple through the crowd, but they fade quickly. The atmosphere refuses to soften. Sunny leans forward again, her tone still measured but unmistakably firm. Katy, I want to stay on this because I think it matters. You've built a career on reinvention, which is admirable. But critics argue that some of your recent performances blur lines between empowerment and provocation. Do you ever worry that the message gets lost? Katy exhales slowly, her fingers tracing the rim of her coffee mug. Inside, her thoughts swirl, memories of headlines, social media debates, fans defending her, critics dissecting every frame of her performances. She looks up, her gaze steady. I think people see what they want to see, she says quietly. Art isn't meant to be comfortable all the time. Sometimes it's supposed to spark conversation. Sunny nods, but her expression suggests she isn't convinced. Conversation is valuable, she replies. But when that conversation involves young fans who idolize you, shouldn't there be some boundaries? Katy's shoulders stiffen slightly. Boundaries according to who? She asks. Sunny doesn't hesitate. According to responsibility. The word lands hard again, echoing in the stillness. A few audience members exchange glances. Katy presses her lips together, her patience thinning. Responsibility, Katy repeats, her voice rising just a fraction. I take responsibility for my music, my performances, my creativity. But I'm not responsible for how every individual interprets it. Sunny tilts her head. But influence isn't optional when you're in your position. Katy leans forward, her eyes narrowing just enough to show the emotional crack beneath her composure. Influence exists whether you want it or not. The difference is whether you use it to be authentic, or whether you shape yourself to make everyone comfortable. A mix of applause and murmurs sweeps through the audience. Alyssa Farah Griffin shifts in her chair, glancing between the two women as if calculating the rising tension like a pressure gauge about to burst. Sarah Haynes bites her lip, clearly uneasy. Sunny's voice sharpens slightly, though she remains composed. Authenticity is powerful, but authenticity without accountability can be dangerous. Katy's eyebrows lift. Dangerous? That's a strong word. Sunny nods. Because millions of young viewers don't just see an artist. They see someone they want to emulate. Katy laughs softly, but there's no humor in it. Sunny, I grew up idolizing artists who were bold, messy, unapologetic. They didn't raise me. They inspired me. There's a difference. Sunny folds her hands together. And some parents watching might say that inspiration can cross into harmful territory. The room tightens again. Katy's fingers tap against the table now, betraying her rising frustration. I find it fascinating, Katy says, her tone colder, that we keep circling back to this idea that women expressing themselves freely is somehow harmful. Sunny's eyes flash. No one is saying women shouldn't express themselves. It feels like that, Katy interrupts, her voice cutting sharper than before. The audience reacts instantly, gasps, a few claps, a rising buzz that feels like static in the air. Whoopi shifts forward slightly, sensing the argument slipping beyond polite debate. But Sunny continues. Katy, this isn't about silencing you, Sunny says, her tone firm but controlled. It's about asking whether fame comes with a moral obligation. Katy turns fully toward her now, her posture rigid, her voice steady but intense. And I'm saying that moral obligation is subjective. What's empowering to one person might feel uncomfortable to another. That doesn't make it wrong. Joy raises her eyebrows, whispering something under her breath that makes Sarah glance at her with wide eyes. The audience is completely silent now, hanging on every word. Sunny's gaze hardens. So there are no limits. Katy pauses. For a moment, something vulnerable flickers across her face. Exhaustion, maybe, or the weight of being constantly scrutinized. But it disappears as quickly as it came. There are limits, Katy says finally. But they are personal. They are creative. And they evolve. Sunny leans back slightly, studying her. Some would argue that personal limits aren't enough when your platform is global. Katy's jaw tightens again. And some would argue that constantly policing women's expression is the real problem. The audience erupts into louder applause this time, but it's mixed with visible discomfort. The clash has become undeniable. Two powerful women locked in a battle of values, neither willing to yield. Sunny glances toward Whoopi briefly, as if weighing whether to continue. Whoopi watches silently, her expression unreadable. That silence feels like permission. Katy, Sunny says slowly, do you ever worry that your message about empowerment becomes diluted when it's wrapped in controversy? The question hangs in the air like a spark hovering over dry grass. Katy's eyes widen slightly, the calm mask cracking just enough to reveal genuine irritation. Controversy follows women who refuse to stay small, she says firmly. If I played it safe, if I watered myself down, maybe I'd avoid criticism. But I'd also lose everything that makes my art real. Sunny's lips press together again, her voice dropping softer, but somehow sharper. Or maybe playing it safe protects the people who look up to you. That line lands with a sting. The audience collectively inhales. Katy stares at Sunny, her expression now openly wounded and angry at the same time. She opens her mouth, then closes it, collecting herself. When she speaks again, her voice trembles slightly, not with weakness, but with emotion she's trying desperately to control. I didn't build my career by pretending to be perfect, she says quietly. I built it by being honest, even when honesty makes people uncomfortable. The studio falls into a stunned silence. Even the crew behind the cameras seem frozen, aware they are witnessing something far bigger than a typical talk show disagreement. And as Katy's words echo through the room, the tension between her and Sunny no longer feels like a simple debate. It feels personal, raw, and dangerously close to spiraling into something neither of them can walk back from. The quiet that follows Katy's last sentence is thick, almost suffocating. It's the kind of silence that makes every tiny sound feel amplified. The faint hum of studio lights, the shuffle of someone's foot in the audience, the soft rustle of Sunny's note cards as she adjusts them without really needing to. Katy sits back slightly, her chest rising and falling in a controlled rhythm, as if she's reminding herself to breathe, to stay composed, to not let emotion take the wheel. Sunny studies her for a long beat, her expression unreadable. This isn't the sharp, quick back and forth anymore. This feels heavier, more deliberate. I don't doubt your honesty, Sunny finally says, her voice lower now. But honesty doesn't cancel out impact. Katy's eyes flicker, a muscle in her jaw tightening. An impact doesn't erase intent, she replies. A murmur ripples through the audience. Someone near the front nods. Someone else folds their arms, unconvinced. The room is split, and everyone can feel it. Sarah Haynes leans forward slightly, trying to soften the moment. I think what people love about Katy is that she's always been herself, she offers gently. And that's rare. Katy gives her a brief, grateful glance. Sunny, however, doesn't let go. Being yourself is powerful, Sunny says. But when yourself becomes a brand, doesn't that brand deserve scrutiny? Katy lets out a small, incredulous laugh. Everything I do is scrutinized, she says. That's not new. Sunny nods. Then why does this feel like it's hitting a nerve? The question lands sharper than any accusation so far. The audience collectively leans in. Katy freezes for half a second, just long enough for the cameras to catch it. Because, Katy says slowly, choosing each word, it feels like I'm being asked to apologize for existing loudly. A wave of applause breaks out, louder and more unified than before. Katy straightens, buoyed by it, but Sunny lifts a hand slightly, signaling she isn't finished. No one is asking you to apologize, Sunny says firmly. I'm asking you to reflect. Katy's eyes narrow. I've been reflecting my entire career. Joy lets out a low whistle under her breath. Alyssa shifts uncomfortably, glancing toward Whoopi again. Whoopi's face remains calm, but her eyes are sharp, watching every move like a referee waiting for the right moment to step in. Sunny leans back, crossing her arms now, mirroring Katy's posture from earlier. Then reflect on this, she says. Do you believe fame absolves you from accountability? Katy shakes her head immediately. No. Then where does accountability start? Sunny presses. Katy leans forward again, palms flat on the table. Her voice grows stronger, more urgent. Accountability starts with being honest about who you are and what you stand for, not with reshaping yourself to fit someone else's comfort level. Sunny raises an eyebrow. And what about the people who feel hurt or confused by your message? Katy's expression softens for just a moment. I never want to hurt anyone, she says. But discomfort isn't the same as harm. That distinction hangs in the air, heavy and controversial. The audience reacts instantly, some nodding, others whispering to the person next to them. Sunny's tone tightens again. That's easy to say when you're on top. Katy's eyes flash. You think this is easy? She asks, her voice suddenly louder. Being torn apart online? Having every move dissected? Carrying the weight of everyone's expectations? The audience gasps softly. This is the first time Katy's voice has cracked, just slightly, revealing something raw beneath the polished exterior. Sunny doesn't flinch. Pressure comes with power. And judgment comes with being a woman in the spotlight, Katy shoots back. A loud wave of applause erupts, followed by a few scattered boos. The division is undeniable now. Whoopi finally raises her hand. All right, she says, her voice calm but authoritative. Let's slow this down for a second. The room exhales collectively, as if everyone had been holding their breath. Katy leans back, blinking rapidly, her expression tight. Sunny uncrosses her arms but keeps her gaze locked on Katy. Whoopi looks between them. This is clearly hitting something deeper than music or performances, she says. And I think the audience can feel that. Katy nods stiffly. Sunny remains silent. Whoopi turns to Katy. Do you feel misunderstood right now? Katy hesitates. Then she answers honestly. Yes. Whoopi turns to Sunny. Do you feel like your point isn't landing? Sunny's lips part slightly. She pauses. I feel like accountability keeps being reframed as an attack. That single sentence snaps the tension right back into place. Katy shakes her head. Because it feels like one. Sunny leans forward again, her voice quieter but more intense than before. Then maybe ask yourself why. The audience collectively reacts, some clapping, some audibly murmuring, wow. Katy stares at Sunny, her eyes glossy now, emotion bubbling closer to the surface. You don't get to tell me how I should feel, Katy says, her voice trembling just enough to be noticeable. And you don't get to dismiss valid concerns as oppression, Sunny fires back. The clash is instant and electric. Gasps echo through the studio. Even Whoopi looks surprised by the sharpness of Sunny's response. Katy's mouth opens in disbelief. For a second, she looks genuinely stunned. That's not what I said, she snaps. It's how it sounds, Sunny replies coolly. The audience noise swells, applause, murmurs, a few shouts of agreement from different sides. The energy in the room is volatile now, like a storm cloud heavy with lightning. Katy sits back, crossing her arms again, but this time her body language is different, less defensive, more wounded. Her voice, when she speaks again, is quieter. I came here to talk about my work, she says. Not to be put on trial. Sunny meets her gaze without hesitation. Public platforms invite public questions. Katy's eyes drop for just a second, then lift again, hardening. Then maybe some questions say more about the person asking them. A collective O ripples through the audience. Joy's eyes widen. Sarah brings a hand to her mouth. Whoopi shifts forward, clearly preparing to intervene again. Sunny's expression darkens, a flicker of offense breaking through her calm. Are you questioning my motives now? Katy doesn't look away. I'm questioning the framing. The tension snaps tight, stretched to its absolute limit. Everyone in the studio can feel it. The sense that this conversation has crossed into dangerous territory, where reputations, egos, and deeply held beliefs are colliding in real time. And as the cameras roll and millions watch from home, it's clear this isn't just a heated exchange anymore. It's a line being drawn. The moment after Katy's last words feels brittle, like glass stretched too thin. The audience sits frozen, eyes darting between the table and the hosts, sensing that one wrong sentence could shatter whatever fragile control remains. Katy's arms are still crossed, but now her shoulders sag slightly, the adrenaline of the argument mixing with exhaustion. Sunny, on the other hand, sits upright, her posture rigid, her expression calm but sharpened by something personal. Questioning the framing is fair, Sunny says at last, her voice steady. Questioning my integrity is not. A sharp intake of breath ripples through the audience. Katy's eyes widen, then narrow. I didn't question your integrity, she replies quickly. I questioned the lens you're using on me. Sunny tilts her head. Those two things are often very close. Joy shifts in her seat, visibly uncomfortable now. Okay, she says lightly, though her voice wobbles. Let's not turn this into a courtroom drama. No one laughs. Whoopi leans forward again, her tone firmer this time. We're not here to attack each other, she says. We're here to talk. Sunny nods slightly, but her eyes never leave Katy. Talking includes asking hard questions. And listening to the answers, Katy says immediately, her voice edged with frustration. The audience reacts with a low murmur. Katy uncrosses her arms now, placing her hands flat on the table, as if grounding herself. I've listened to criticism my entire career, she continues. But what's hard is when that criticism assumes bad intent. Sunny's expression tightens. Intent doesn't erase consequence. There it is again, Katy says, shaking her head. That phrase. It keeps coming back like a verdict. Sunny leans in. Because consequences are real. The tension rises another notch. Alyssa glances nervously toward the producers off camera. Sarah Haynes shifts, clearly debating whether to step in. The audience is completely silent now. Katy takes a deep breath. Let me ask you something, she says, turning fully toward Sunny. Do you believe artists should self-censor to avoid controversy? Sunny doesn't answer right away. The pause is deliberate. I believe artists should be mindful of who they are reaching, she says finally. Katy nods slowly. I am mindful, but I refuse to be muted. A strong burst of applause breaks out, louder than before. Katy's eyes flicker toward the audience, drawing strength from their reaction. Sunny waits for the noise to die down. And I refuse to pretend that influence doesn't matter, she says. Because I've seen what happens when it's ignored. Her voice carries weight now, hinting at lived experience. For the first time, Katy hesitates. What happens? Katy asks, quieter. Sunny's jaw tightens. Confusion. Harm. Young people struggling to understand where confidence ends and self-worth begins. The room stills. Katy's expression softens just a fraction, conflict flickering behind her eyes. I want people to feel free, Katy says. To love themselves. Sunny nods. So do I. The similarity in their words only makes the divide more frustrating. Then why does it feel like we're on opposite sides? Katy asks, genuine confusion slipping through. Sunny exhales. Because freedom without guardrails can feel reckless to those watching from the outside. Katy's voice rises again. And guardrails can feel like cages to those inside them. The audience reacts, some clapping, some shaking their heads. The metaphor lands hard, drawing an audible response. Whoopi rubs her chin thoughtfully. Seems like we're talking about the same road from different sides, she says. Sunny glances at Whoopi but doesn't break eye contact with Katy. Maybe. But roads have rules. Katy smiles tightly. And rules change. Joy throws up her hands slightly. Phew. This is a lot. A nervous laugh ripples through the audience, briefly cutting the tension. But it doesn't last. Sunny straightens her notes again, though her hands tremble just slightly. Katy, when you hear parents say they are worried, what do you say to them? Katy pauses. This time the silence feels reflective rather than explosive. I say talk to your kids, Katy answers. Ask them what they feel, what they see. Don't outsource those conversations to pop stars. A wave of applause rolls through the crowd. Sunny nods slowly, acknowledging the point. That's fair, Sunny admits. But public figures still shape culture. Katy's voice drops, firm and resolute. Culture is shaped by many voices. Not just mine. Sunny's eyes soften, just a touch. Then don't dismiss the voices questioning you. Katy meets her gaze. And don't assume those voices are always right. The two women stare at each other, neither blinking, neither backing down. The argument has shifted now, from sharp confrontation to something deeper, almost philosophical, but no less intense. Whoopi leans back, letting the moment breathe. The audience senses they are nearing something, either a resolution or a breaking point. Sunny finally looks away, exhaling slowly. "I think we're talking past each other," she says. Katy nods. "I think we are." The admission hangs heavy, bittersweet. The tension hasn't vanished, but it's changed form, less explosive, more unresolved. Whoopi glances toward the camera, sensing time is running. "We've got to take a break in a minute," she says. But clearly, this struck a nerve. Katy swallows, her eyes shining. Sunny straightens, composure restored but emotions still simmering beneath the surface. As the studio prepares to cut away, the audience buzzes with whispered reactions, already aware they've witnessed something rare, two powerful voices colliding live, without a script, without an easy answer. And everyone knows the hardest part is still coming. Because once the cameras stop rolling, or even when they don't, what's been said can't be unsaid. When the show returns from break, the energy in the studio is different, but no lighter. It's the quiet after an argument that everyone knows will linger long after the cameras stop. The audience settles back into their seats, buzzing with whispered reactions, phones discreetly glowing as clips already begin circulating online. Katy sits composed again, posture straight, expression carefully neutral. Sunny mirrors her calm, but there's a tension beneath it, unresolved and unmistakable. Whoopi looks down the table, then back up at the audience. "We're almost out of time," she says, her voice steady. "But I want to give both of you a moment to say whatever you feel needs to be said." Katy inhales slowly. For a split second, she closes her eyes, just a beat, then opens them, gaze forward. "I came here to talk about my work," she begins, her voice quieter now but weighted with sincerity. "But what happened today reminds me how deeply people feel about influence, about responsibility, about identity. I don't take that lightly. I just want space for women to exist fully, without constantly being measured against impossible standards." The audience responds with warm applause, not explosive this time, but heartfelt. Katy nods once, acknowledging it, then turns her eyes briefly towards Sunny, not confrontational, just open. Sunny listens, hands folded, then speaks. "I respect your honesty," she says. "And I respect your success. My concern has never been about silencing you. It's about asking questions that reflect what many viewers at home are feeling, especially parents, especially young people trying to find their footing." A few audience members clap. Others remain quiet, thoughtful. Sunny continues, softer now. "These conversations are uncomfortable. But discomfort is sometimes where growth begins." Katy presses her lips together, then gives a small nod. "I can agree with that," she says. The simple acknowledgement lands harder than any sharp comeback. The room exhales. Whoopi leans back, satisfied there will be no final explosion. "That's what this table is for," she says. "Different perspectives. Real conversations." Joy jumps in with a nervous chuckle. "Well, nobody can say today was boring." The audience laughs, easing the tension just enough to breathe again. As the closing music begins to swell, the camera pulls back slightly. Katy and Sunny exchange one last look, not friendly, not hostile, but something more complicated. Mutual recognition. Mutual resolve. Neither has won. Neither has lost. And that's exactly why the moment feels so powerful. But the story doesn't end when the credits roll. Within minutes, clips flood social media. Headlines light up timelines. Katy Perry and Sunny Hostin clash live on The View. Fans take sides. Comment sections explode. Some praise Katy for standing her ground. Others applaud Sunny for asking the hard questions. Think pieces begin forming before the studio lights even cool. By nightfall, the moment is everywhere, re-watched, reanalyzed, replayed. Not because of shouting, not because of insults, but because two strong voices refuse to shrink, even under pressure. And that's what makes it unforgettable. Now it's your turn. What do you think? Was Katy defending her freedom, or was Sunny right to challenge her influence?